Jeremy Corbyn, you've just come from Stevenage, so the message regarding businesses' concern and no deal, can you allay any fears for Harlow businesses?
Well, they're in very much the same situation. I spent the morning with a group of businesses in Stevenage, mostly start-up, high-tech companies that had set up at a start-up centre, and all of them had extensive trade arrangements with Europe. Some were EU nationals who were working there, and they were alarmed at an October the 31st cliff-edge Brexit, which would mean that they'd have trouble over travel, but also trouble over sales and trouble over imports of materials that they have to deal with. And I told them that I would do everything I can to stop a no-deal Brexit on the 31st of October, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
And that probably would, it's the same with a lot of Harlow businesses, but what about the voters? I mean, we've got 29,602 people in Harlow who voted leave. You know, it's a hard sell, isn't it? Whatever,
yes.
You know, referendums, people vote, it's going to be a hard sell for your colleagues here.
I appreciate that a small majority across the country, but in some areas a very substantial majority of people voted to leave the EU in the referendum in 2016. They did so for many reasons. In some parts of the country, completely left behind communities that had seen no secure work since the end of the miners' strike, and they didn't feel that anyone was actually listening to what they had to say. However, I think everyone must realise that if we leave without an agreement with Europe in the future, a no-deal exit, then the damage to medicine supplies to the NHS, to food prices, to the food processing industry, and to the many EU nationals who work in our hospitals and our education service would be absolutely huge. And therefore, I think it is completely wrong for the Prime Minister to even countenance a no-deal exit. The other issue, of course, is the Northern Ireland border. Ireland is a member of the EU and obviously a member of the single market, and if Northern Ireland is in a completely different trading relationship with Europe, then a border follows. That border will then become just as contentious as the border was in the past, and I do think we have to have some recognition of the dangers to the Northern Ireland peace process.
And you talk about EU nationals. One of the fastest growing populations in Harlow are people not from the UK, you know, and so when the message that Priti Patel is putting out, what's your concerns there?
Well, I'm very concerned because she's saying that as of the 31st of October, that's it. There is no longer any automatic movement of EU nationals into this country or to travel back and forth. Well, that's absurd. There are many people who work in schools, work in hospitals, work in companies, live here, have family in other countries, or indeed a couple, one of whom may be from another EU country, the other one from Britain, and their children obviously belong to both. Are they going to be stopped from travelling? Is that what's going to happen? It's an absurd situation, and it will create the most unbelievable levels of stress and chaos. I think the government needs to think again, and we will do everything we can to stop the no-deal exit.
And just one more question. You made reference possibly with manifestos, with possible general election to 1945. Is that too lofty? I mean, sometimes I look at the stuff and think, where's the aspiration that speaks to young people or people in places like Harlow? And is there a concern? It's not less than 1945 and possibly 1983.
Well, I think young people need to have more security in their lives, and therefore our offer of ending university fees, our offer of an education system that works and properly funded apprenticeships and equality of esteem between academic and a vocational qualification, our offer of reopening youth centres, our offer of ending the youth minimum wage and giving young people fair pay and real opportunities, our offer of ending discrimination against young people in the benefits system, I think works a great deal for young people. But it's also about their future. It's their future and their lives. Are they to grow up in a world where they're told that the public services we have are going to be forever in decline and they should make private individual provision? Or are we going to say there's a world of hope in the future? That and our green industrial revolution, an industrial revolution brought about by developing a sustainable economy, give real hope for the future. I'm very excited about it.